I'm good to go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dissecting Shakespeare, Dissecting King Lear. And today we're going to be doing Act 1, Scene 3, which is a nice, short little scene between GONERIL, who is King Lear's eldest daughter, and Oswald, one of her stewards. And today I have with me Bruce. Bruce, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody out there, and I'm just delighted to be here. And this is my favorite Shakespeare play. Love them all, but this one I taught for a number of years. I even wrote a couple of obscure academic articles about it. It was the first Shakespeare play I really got into in depth because I wound up teaching it for the International Baccalaureate program at a school here in Toronto, where I am still living. And I often compare, getting into Shakespeare and tackling King Lear as your first biggie. It's kind of like, you take up mountain climbing as a hobby and you make Mount Everest your first endeavor. It's so my advice to anyone would be getting into Shakespeare. You want to play to get to in depth. Don't start with King Lear. go with Macbeth, go with Twelfth Night or something else. But anyway, I've always adored this play. It's sort of my secular scripture. And thanks so much to Jackie for inviting me to be aboard.
Anytime, anytime. All right, we're gonna, as always, the format is we are going to act out, read this scene, and then we're gonna talk about it and like dive deeper into it. So, if you're ready,
Okay.
let's go. Act 1, Scene 3. The Duke of Albany's palace. Enter Goneril and Oswald her steward.
Did my father strike my gentleman for chiding of his fool?
Yes, madam.
By day and night he wrongs me. Every hour he flashes into one gross crime or another that sets us all at odds. I'll not endure it. His nights grow riotous, and himself upbraids us on every trifle. When he returns from hunting, I will not speak with him. Say I am sick. If you come slack of former services, you shall do well. The fault of it, I'll answer.
He's coming, madam. I hear him.
Put on what weary negligence you please, you and your fellows. I'll have it come to question. If he distaste it, let him to my sister, whose mind and mine I know, and that are one, not to be overruled. Idle old man that would still manage those authorities that he hath given away. Now, by my life, old fools are babes again, and must be used with checks as flatteries when they are seen abused. Remember what I have said,
Well, madam.
and let his knights have colder looks among you. What grows of it, no matter. Advise your fellows so. I would brief from hence occasions, and I shall that I may speak. I'll write straight to my sister to hold my course. Go, prepare for dinner.
And that is the end of that scene. Excellent. Beautiful. Let's get right into it. What are your initial thoughts about this scene, Bruce?
Well, we Goneril's first line, we in effect get two new characters introduced, one directly, one indirectly. Did my father strike my gentleman for chiding of his fool?
Mm-hmm.
Here is my steward, although we don't know his name yet, and chiding of his fool. Now, who is this fool? Don't want to do a spoiler here, but we've been set up to expect the fool
Mm-hmm.
in the scene that is shortly coming.
Exactly.
And Goneril ain't getting along with Daddy, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the real issue here? It's not the hospitality to Dad; it's the nights. I'll not endure his nights grow riotous, and he himself upbraids us on every trouble. So these knights are a problem, and we can remember back from Act 1, Scene 1, in the division scene, he did stipulate both to Goneril and Regan, I'll be staying with each of you for a month, but my knights are coming with me,
Mm-hmm.
all 100 of them. And, you think about it, wow, having to put up not with the king himself, but with his 100 knights, that's a tall order.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we did Act One, Scene One, we talked a lot about the relationship between King Lear and his daughters. And I mean, I definitely this time dissecting it, I've played Goneril before, and I thought, huh, Goneril and Regan really do have reasons for the way that they react to King Lear, especially from the beginning. And I'm not saying that, later on we'll talk about their behavior and what they do and what they say and whether we think it's how to say it makes sense or not, or it's good or not. But at least right now, the way it's being set up, I understand Goneril's ire. I understand why she's annoyed and upset with her father. And yeah, I think she's coming from a place that's very logical. Her dad is acting very erratic. The fact that he shuns two of his favorites, right? His the youngest daughter, Cordelia, and then his right-hand man, Lord Kent, I think is very alarming to her. And then, as you said, exactly, he's coming to visit, but not as he only is he coming to visit, he's bringing his knights who happen to be very rowdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does remind us here of something she and Regan had discussed
Mm-hmm.
right at the end of Act One, Scene One, when I think Regan said he hath but slenderly known himself, like our dad's got issues. Goneril
Mm-hmm.
Sills in this scene, idle old man that would still manage those authorities that he hath given away. She's reminding us that he basically has delegated all of his power. He doesn't want the responsibility that
Mm-hmm.
comes with kingship anymore, but he still wants the title of king. And this is a thread, a theme that's going to run throughout the play. I get frustrated when you come across a lot of critics who talk about, we think back to Act One, Scene One, Lear's abdication. There was never an abdication. If you abdicate, you give up the title
Right.
of king. Lear never gives up that title. He had given up the responsibilities that go with the title, but he's still the king in name, or so he insists.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. He does. He
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
thinks, I have control. And
Yeah.
what I love, there's these words in this that Goneril say that I absolutely love. Now by my life, old fools are babes again and must be used with checks as flatteries when they are seen abused. And I'm like, ooh, how wise and how true, right? That, in the course of a life, when we become old, we act as if we are young, as if we are children, in many ways. And this is her observation of King Lear. And it's very, very, very on the nose.
Yeah, and she does remind us in the scene that she and her sister Regan
Mhm.
are kind of, acting conjointly. If he
Mhm.
distasted it, if he's not happy with the fact that we're going to kind of cut back on the level of service we're giving him, let him to my sister, whose mind and mine I know, and that are one. Eh? they're all of like mind. Don't want to do too much of a spoiler here, but that's going to come around big time in Act Two, Scene 4. Now, her strategy here is interesting because what she's going to do is, pretend to be sick, okay?
Right.
And she is instructing Oswald, you and my other fellow servants, start ignoring my father's wishes. Be cool with him. Let his knights have colder looks among you. We're gonna roll back
Yes.
the red carpet anymore. Yeah.
Exactly.
We're not gonna let Dad be bossing us around.
Mm-mm. Not this time.
Yeah. Mm,
Uh, Excellent. Well, I think that's pretty
mm,
good for dissecting.
mm,
And I mean, in terms of
mm.
Oswald, um, he doesn't get to say much here, but I
Yeah.
always wonder,
Yeah.
how he feels. He's obviously the steward of Goneril, but King Lear is still
Yeah.
the king,
Yeah.
and so having to um, follow the orders of Goneril, I always wonder, like, does he feel conflicted? Is he like, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I really hate those
Mm,
knights, or is he like, oh, this is not going to be good. I really don't want to do
yeah.
this. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
there's so many ways to play it, which
Yeah.
is fun.
Well, a distinction here may be between you know, providing service versus servility. Servility, kind of, being being a lackey, basically, just
Mm.
playing along with whatever the boss is saying. And there's a lot of servility in Oswald. He'll do whatever his lady wants, whatever he may feel about it himself, whatever the consequences may be to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much
yeah.
for
It was
joining
great to join in. Okay.
me.
Looking
And
forward to Act One, Scene 4, everybody.
yes, yes, I look forward to more scenes and
Mm,
dissecting more of this play. It's such a great play. Please tune in next time for our next scene, Act 1,
mm,
Scene 4. And please let us know in the chat below, what are your
mm,
thoughts? Is Goneril in the right for treating her father this way? Is she not? Is she in the wrong? Why so?
mm.
Same for, how would you play Oswald? I'm very curious what interpretations y'all have out there. And we hope to see you at our next episode. Ciao.
mm.